Hi, I'm Heidi.
And I'm Byron.
And we are Sailing Schmidt.
As we begin this episode, we are anchored in Providenciales in Turks and Caicos. We had been here a week, getting ready for Byron's brother Damon to visit. He arrived, and we did all the things. First up was an amazing dinner on the picturesque Chalk Sound. The next morning, we sailed west, north, and then southeast around the northern tip of Provo to the Treasure Beach anchorage. We would be close to Smith's Reef for snorkeling and Turtle Cove Marina for the restaurants. We had a little bit of everything on this 6-hour sail: a single dolphin escort, shallow water with a soft grounding or two, a bait ball but no catch, high winds and no winds. At one point, we had to navigate very carefully between the shore and a reef, and then we headed into a few squalls. When we got to the anchorage, we grounded again, trying to go through the channel. We never grounded in the Bahamas, but now had grounded here 3 times. It seems the charts are not very accurate, or perhaps a lot of shifting sand. It was a rough situation for anchoring the dinghy, but Smith's Reef was a delightful little snorkel site. All too soon, it was time to take Damon to the airport. Now we turned our attention to our goal of getting further south. We planned to go to Grand Turk next, so we began setting ourselves up to make a crossing of the Turks Island Passage, which is a 7,000-foot deep marine trench between the Caicos Islands and the Turks Islands. We threaded our way between the reefs to leave the Treasure Beach anchorage. To start, we took a short sail to Pine Cay to stage for the passage. We would just anchor one night since we had the weather window for the crossing the next day. Also, it's a private island, so technically we could only go ashore up to the high water mark. It was so cool that we were joyfully escorted out of Grace Bay by a solid squad of Atlantic spotted dolphins. I think these are my new favorite kind of dolphin. What a party! They spent at least 30 minutes with us. I felt like the dolphins knew they were making a connection with us, even though they were just playing with our boat. They can see us on deck and seem to purposefully jump to entertain us. They are just doing what dolphins do, but I like to call out, "You're so cute," and I know they understand. We had one night at Pine Cay, which was very calm, and it would have been a nice place to explore the sandbars, but we needed to move on. We left at 6:30 a.m. for Grand Turk. We got to sail for a short time, albeit reefed. We had winds of 17 to 20 knots and the seas built all day long. At one point, we were hit by a rogue wave on our port quarter. It was literally a wall of water. We saw it, but there was no time to point into it. It jolted us into alert mode, so we started watching for those. As we approached Grand Turk, I thought we would never get there. The rough seas continued right up until about 15 minutes before the anchorage. We arrived at 9 p.m. and we had to anchor in the dark, which is not what we prefer. We talked together about what we were seeing as we approached. The lights, did they look like they were on shore or in the water? The landmarks, we saw them on navionics, so we knew how far or close they were. And then we were on the lookout for anything that was moving. Last night we came into Grand Turk and we had to anchor in the dark, which was not that fun, but we figured it out and we got anchored safely and got some sleep. And wow, this place is gorgeous and the underwater visibility is simply amazing. I think it tops the Bahamas. This is where we came in. The seas look very calm right now, but they were not last night. We've got our dinghy all set up. We didn't tow our dinghy. Instead, we had it up on the deck, so we had to set it all up this morning with the engine. Everything went well. This is the anchorage, and the anchorage is called, on some maps, it's called Town Cut, and on other maps, it's called Highlands Cut. Wow, it's beautiful. We got to meet our anchorage neighbors, Robert and Abby, of Sailing Vessel Time, hailing from South Carolina. It is not a good situation when you find a bolt on the deck. It doesn't look like a rigging bolt. Those have pins in them. It could be from our radar mount. and we're not sure really what we're going to do about this just yet. We'll do an inspection, and then someone will have to climb the mast. So we are going ashore. We're going to quote the Do It Center and try to find some more jerry cans for our diesel, because we feel comfortable if we'd had just a little bit more to carry along. And then we're going to do laundry, which we've heard the reviews of this laundromat, and apparently they have these giant machines that you can put everything into one load for $16. We'll see what happens. We headed into Cockburn Town, the capital city of Turks and Caicos, where we promptly found the Sandbar restaurant. I've never really had a bucket list, but if I did, I think a cheeseburger in paradise was on it. Eventually, we took care of getting our jerry cans and our laundry done in the giant machines. We were curious about what the donkey census was all about. We had missed it by about 2 weeks. Donkeys roam free on Grand Turk. They were brought here centuries ago to work in the salt mining industry, hauling salt carts and heavy loads across the island. They are considered a symbol of the island's resilient spirit, and there are conservation efforts to monitor and preserve them. Hi, donkey. How you doing? You're just pretty cute, but not as cute as the dolphins. We had planned to leave the next day to go to the southern anchorage near the cruise ship port so that we could fill up our diesel and start heading to Puerto Rico. Or so we thought. We had been considering using a weather consultant for our passages, mainly because our use of NOAA, Windy, and Sandusky has been disappointing and surprising. We have scrutinized the forecast, selected our weather window, and experienced very different conditions than what was forecasted. Somehow, we are missing something. We had heard the reputation of Chris Parker and decided to hire him to give us a forecast window for our next crossing to Puerto Rico. We had a phone call with Chris about our sail plan. Chris pointed out some factors that affect the forecasts of NOAA that aren't apparent to those who have not studied the frontal effects on Caribbean weather patterns. We decided to take his advice and postpone our journey to Puerto Rico. This gave us time to visit all of the contemporary graffiti art, which depicts themes of island heritage, nature, and community life here on Grand Turk. We really benefited by delaying our departure. This gave us time to go ashore for the church we had been admiring, St. Mary's Pro-Cathedral. It was Father's Day. They announced and welcomed us as visitors during the service. For Father's Day, they had all the fathers come forward and sing all 4 verses of How Great Thou Art. Each father was given 2 gift bags. After the 2-hour service, they insisted we come to their Father's Day brunch, where we enjoyed homemade Caribbean cuisine. We got a chance to really get to know some of the local church members, which was truly a joy. At the lunch, Byron was given a 3rd gift bag. He came home with 2 wallets, some cologne, a hair trimmer that was needed, and some snacks that we wouldn't normally be able to get. We went out to snorkel a site known as the Library Wall, which is a dramatic coral shelf that begins at 20 to 30 feet but drops off to over 7,000 feet. The name library refers to a local legend of a hurricane causing a shipwreck where the library of the ship ended up in part of the reef, but there was never any physical evidence to support that legend.
Byron is taking the snubber off. We're moving from one anchorage in Grand Turk to another so we can get some fuel. And then once we get our fuel, we're gonna head down to San Cay. Here, still in the Turks and Caicos, and that'll be our staging point for going to Puerto Rico.
The southern anchorage was close to the cruise ship port. We knew a ship was coming in, so we hurried to get our fuel before it got too busy in the area. There was no fuel station at a dock nearby, so we had to haul our jerry cans by dinghy and then up the beach to a fuel station in the blazing heat. We did 4 cans at a time. Each can weighs 35 pounds when full. Quite a chore.
And here we are. We got lucky today because right up there, right up here, they have ice cold beer. Just beyond that is where we got the fuel.
We knew we would have big seas, but it was only about 3 hours and we would be able to sail the entire trip. Big San Cay was uninhabited and designated as a sanctuary for nesting birds and rock iguanas. It sounded like a great place to explore while waiting to cross to Puerto Rico. We caught 2 more barracuda and then decided to put away our trolling lines. There was no need to catch a 3rd one since we throw them back anyway. Once again, we had big winds and seas, but our boat handled it well. Byron ended up hand steering part of the way so that we could point into some of the bigger swells that were coming on our port side. The approach to Big San Cay was so exciting because of the raw, untouched beauty and the fact that it truly was a deserted island. Join us in our next episode where we explore Big San Cay and discover a big surprise.